Hello everyone, my name is Beth and welcome to my channel. This is a channel where I talk about cross stitch, and we're actually going to start with a little bit of non-cross stitch but like cross stitch adjacent because I went and spent over a week with my parents, which was such a blessing because I hadn't seen them in over a year because of the pandemic. My mom has diabetes, and so I definitely did not want to do anything to put her in danger, so I wanted to make sure they were vaccinated, we were vaccinated, everything was safe and good to go. So that happened and it was amazing. And I took so much home from my parents' house that I needed another suitcase. I had to borrow a suitcase from them to bring it all home. And so I'm gonna show you a few bits and pieces that I took home from my parents' house that are like kind of stitching adjacent. The least stitching related things I'll show you. I just like to hype up my creative family. My grandma is a painter, or was a painter when her eyes were letting her do it, and so I took home a painting of my grandma's. I have, I think, 2 others in my house, so I really love displaying her work in my house, and I was excited for the opportunity to get another one. And then my aunt is a pretty great photographer, and so I took home a few photos of hers that I'm looking forward to getting to display in my house. Now, the closer to stitching adjacent thing that I got to take home was, if this is not your first video on my channel, if it is, welcome, hi, we'll get to the stitching in a second. But for Christmas, I did some research and got my mom some stuff to help her with diamond painting. She had expressed interest in diamond painting. She'd bought herself a kit, but she was a little bit overwhelmed and hadn't gotten started yet. So I bought her some diamond painting paraphernalia to help her out. And as a thank you, she gave me the first diamond painting she completed, which is just these rainbow hearts. And she mailed me the frame and the mat so that I could put it all together. And so I got to take that home, which was super sweet. So thanks, Mom. I can't wait to put this in my house. All right, I'm gonna save the best for last. So skipping past the best thing for a second, I'm moving into, my mom was a prolific sewer. She participated in 4-H, which if you have never heard of that, it's like kind of similar to Girl Scouts, but it had more to do with like the classic home ec type of stuff. She focused on cooking and sewing in 4-H, but I think they also do like raising of farm animals and other kinds of stuff like that in 4-H. Which I think like is an organization that still exists. I'm not entirely sure. But so she would do baking and sewing, and then it would get judged and she would get a ribbon for it. And my mom is super competitive and perfectionistic, and so like if it wasn't a blue ribbon, it wasn't good enough. And so she let me go shopping in her fabric dresser because she really doesn't do that much sewing anymore, and there was no need for her to have all this fabric laying around. So I'm going to show you some of the fabric that I took home. I took home only a fraction of what she had, but there were a couple of gems in the fabric drawers. I think there might be a picture. I don't know if I'm going to put it in here, but I found an old bridesmaid's dress that my mom wore to one of her best friend's weddings, that she just like was like, I'm never gonna wear this, and put it in her fabric drawer in case she wanted to cut it up. So I tried it on and it fit me, and that was fun. I also found like a couple of aprons and pot holders and other things that she'd made that she wasn't using and thought maybe she'd repurpose, or I don't know what she thought. But I found this apron that she made, and I actually have worn this apron. It's like a skirt apron that you tie around your waist, and it has like ties here. I've actually worn this. I wore this when I was a kid growing up, helping my mom cook and bake. And I was like, why is this in your fabric drawer? And she was like, I don't know what I would do with it. And I was asking her about it, and it turns out she made it in the 4th grade, in 4-H. It was her first sewing project. She also made a matching pot holder. I made her write all this stuff down so that I would have it. She told me she has a scrapbook of all the things that she made for 4-H that has all this information in it. So anyway, so they had this thing called dress review, apparently, where they got judged for the construction and then they modeled what they made on stage. And she also entered this in the county fair, and she didn't tell me that it won anything, so I assume that it didn't. But I mean, she was, what, how old are you in 4th grade? Like 10? Anyway, very cool, very cool. And it like cinches up like this, so it can fit lots of different sizes. Anyway, I couldn't like just let this not exist anymore. Couldn't let this go to wherever she's gonna take the rest of the fabric that she doesn't want. I also found, and I'm not entirely sure if she made this or where it came from, but this is another apron. I think she did make this, and this looks like it might be an iron-on patch or something. But this is an apron, and if I can find a picture, I'll put it in, that I wore when I was a very small child. And I wore this primarily baking with my grandmother. And I just had to make sure that this got to stay with me. So I took it with me. This one in particular has so many memories attached to it. I love this apron so much, and I loved baking with my grandma so much. I'm almost sure I have a picture of me in this apron, so if I can find it, I'll put it in here. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some of the fabric that I got, with the hopes that I'll use this for finishing fabric for cross-stitch projects probably. And some of it is like big pieces and some of it's scraps. So there's this gigantic piece of fabric. I mean, it's like, there's like a ton of it here. Let me see if I can show you the print there. It's just like a really pretty floral, blues and purples and greens. I really, really like that. It's very like me colors, and I can definitely see myself using that for lots of different things. The other larger piece that I took is just a pink and white stripe. It's just like a soft pink, very versatile and cute. Yeah, that piece is really large as well. Next, another apron, but this one neither my mom or I have sentimental attachment to, and it's falling apart in a few places. But I believe my mom made this as well. But we both agreed that I could cannibalize this just for the fabric. So this is like black background with some pink flowers on top of it. Some random white felt. Then I got 2 of these, like charm pack size, of music notes and instruments. Then I got this piece of purple fabric with stars on it that I remember so specifically. I feel like we bought this for a project that I worked on with my mom, a sewing project, but neither of us can recall what the project was. We can't find it in my house, so maybe we'll uncover it eventually, but I just like was drawn to this fabric. I was like, I remember working with this fabric, so I had to take it. Now there's this tiny scrap of like navy, and first I thought these were Christmas lights, but they aren't, they're flowers. And I just thought that was cute. And finally we have 2 Christmas prints, and these were used to make, I believe, vests for me and my brother for Christmas time, when we were very small, like toddlers. And I think they still exist somewhere in my house, but I don't have them here to show you. But the fabric is cute on its own and then also has that sentimental value to me. So I grabbed them. So this one has little holly on it and this one has little Christmas trees. So that was all the fabric that I took home with me to use for projects that I have not yet come up with. And now I think the last thing to show you that I took from my parents' house is by far the coolest, and I'm either gonna do some fancy magic in my editing software to blur out the personal information on them, or I will insert like a picture after the fact if I get too frustrated where I can put something over top of it. But I found my birth sampler and my brother's birth sampler. We believe that these were stitched by my dad's stepsister. And so here's mine. And here is my brother's. I just love them so much. I think they're so fun. And my mom was totally shocked that I wanted to take them, that I would be interested in having them. And I was like, yeah. She was like, well, I feel like I've asked you before and you weren't that interested. And I was like, could that before have been before I was a stitcher? And she was like, probably that's it. And so now that I'm a stitcher, I just think those are so awesome. And you know, it probably could have been that I was also just younger before, and like, it's hard to separate, like, when you have your first apartment, seeing something like that and thinking like, I'm not gonna put that up in my apartment. But now as I am a little older, I'm like, I may not hang that up, but I definitely want to have it. I wouldn't want it to like go away. So I just ended up taking those home with me. My parents also have a wedding sampler made by the same person. And they said that I could have that as well. But I'm not gonna take that right now. They can continue enjoying that. And I'll take that when I have a little bit more space to store that kind of stuff. But they know that I want it and they're not gonna get rid of it. I actually, maybe I'll insert a picture here with the same sort of personal information removed. But yeah, those are just so fun and I'm really glad that I get to have them. All right, now we're gonna move into my stitching. Thanks for indulging me and letting me show you that fun stuff. So let me rearrange a little bit and I'll pull out my stitching to show you. Okay, I have quite a few finishes to show you. I mentioned in my last video that my May plan was to stitch on things that I started last May. And so I've done that. I started 5 things last May, and I started one like small mill hill that I finished earlier this year, just like a month or 2 ago. I started 2 smaller projects and 2 larger projects. And the 2 larger projects definitely not gonna get done this May, just not possible. Those were Carrot Forest, which I worked on during March Madness, and so that already got a bunch of work on it recently. And then Woodland Sal, which I'll show you in my whips. So then the other 2 smaller projects that I still had outstanding, I finished. So I'm gonna show you those. So this is Raven's Reply by Luminous Fiber Arts. And going into this month, I just had the border left to finish. So I went ahead and did that. This is in all the called for colors. on a 40 count something. I don't know. Clearly it's a Zweigart base. But this was my first 40 count project ever, and I am thrilled with how it turned out. Completely thrilled. And the other one that I finished, also by Luminous Fiber Arts, I did not do that on purpose, is Savor Every Stitch. This, I believe, came out in Market 2019, so I started it right after Market that year. Wait. No, Market 2020. The pandemic has destroyed time. Just completely destroyed it. I think this came out Market 2020 and I started it right after that in May, I think. Anyway, there's my finish. I did mostly the DMC conversion. You can watch my whole saga about that in a previous video. I think probably the title will have something to do with Mania in it, if you want to go find it. I think I'm like sitting on my floor in front of my herbology tapestry. Anyway, huge saga about the threads on this. I ended up doing the DMC conversion except for the red color because I didn't have the DMC at the time, so that is Schoolhouse Red, and the black color because it has some really nice variegation in it. I don't remember which one this is. I think it's a Weeks Dye Works. And then everything else is called for except the bee's wings and the other white in this pattern was just blending too much into my fabric, so I switched it out for 3866, and I switched it out, did one of the wings, then didn't write down what I'd used, and then I had to like compare all the whites in my floss box to figure out which one it was. But I have now completed it. There it is. Ooh, I should probably mention the cool thing that I did. The spools there are charted in cross stitch and then long stitches diagonally over top of them. And I just decided to satin stitch the whole thing. And I ended up using, I think, 4 threads so that it would be really plump and shiny. And I really like how that turned out. I'm pretty proud of that. All right, that's that on this one. I am not properly hydrated. Okay. Next I have 2 SAFs, which stands for Start and Finish, since the last time I saw you. And let's start with this one. This, I did not write down who the designer of this is. Hold, please. I got this as a freebie from, I think, Cecilia's when I ordered my Frogwarts stuff. And at first I wasn't really going to stitch it because I'm not really into spring so much. I'm really an autumn and winter stitcher. Spring and summer are not really my favorite. Summer is far too hot and spring has too many allergies. I'm being totally honest. So I really don't stitch that much spring. But when I looked closer at this pattern, I realized there was a snail in it. And then I couldn't not stitch it. Speaking of snails, things I took home from my parents' house. My mom kept a display of like little miniatures. My whole life she collected them when she was a kid, and she's finally deciding to get rid of them, so she asked me if I wanted any of them. And at first glance I was like, no, I think I'm okay. And then I saw this guy and I had to take him home. Isn't he so cute? Anyway, okay, I digress. So this pattern had a snail in it, and therefore I was immediately much more excited to stitch it, so I decided to go ahead and do it. This is by Mani di Donna. And here we go. Here it is. Look at that cute little snail. And this bee is a button that I ordered specifically for this. The model of this, I had to like look it up because I only got a black and white like photocopy from Cecilia's. So I looked up online what the model of this looked like, and it was done on a like dark brown. I thought that was kind of boring for spring, so I pulled out a bright green piece of fabric. This is some kind of Lugana, I think 32 count. So there you go. Welcome spring, now that spring is almost over. And finally, I also did not record the, you know, you'd think that I would be a more organized person, but I'm just not. I'm just not. Okay, this pattern is from Steph X Stitch on Etsy, and I decided to do this at the very last second. I was at my parents' house, and my mom was preparing to do some author pitches. She is writing a memoir, and so she was pitching to agents while I was home. And she was nervous and stressed about it, and so the night before her pitch, I decided to stitch this. And so I just like real quick went on Etsy and looked for something that I could do that would be relevant, and then I pulled out a piece of Aida that I randomly had that I could stitch it on, and I just pulled things from the threads I had brought for other projects. It was really slapped together at the last second, not planned at all, but I'm super happy with how it came out. So this is it. You can do the thing, because she can do the thing, and she did do the thing, and it went really well. So super proud of you, Mom. And the reason I have this is because I told her I would frame it or do something with it, and then give it back to her. I'm gonna see her again in like 2 weeks, so she's gonna get it back really soon. This is really small, so I thought it would be a good thing to do in just, you know, the few hours before bed, the night before she was doing her pitches. And what I did not think about was that there are a million, like, you know, just a few stitches here, a few stitches there of each color. This took way longer than I thought it was going to, but totally worth it. She loved it, made her smile, so that was the intent. So yeah, I'll have to FF with that real soon and get that to her. So, you know, multiple times I've been traveling and just pulled out what I had and like done a small little thing while I was there. So it totally advocates for bringing way more than you need. So just putting that out into the world. Next time, Beth, you're like, ugh, you don't need to bring like blank fabric and random extra floss because you have 8-10 projects with you that you could choose from. No, you do need it. Bring it with you. Oh man. All right. I have some other starts to show you, so let me collect those and show those to you. All right, my first start that I have to show you is by Ink Circles. This came in one of the recent Black Needle Society boxes. This is called Half the Fun. I'll put a picture here of what that looks like. And I have decided to do it on a very bright and fun piece of Fortnite Fabrics 40 count linen. I don't remember the name of this, but it came, I don't remember the name of it. I have it written down somewhere. I have to find it. And that's my start. I am stitching this in, I think it's called Tantalizing Teal by Almond M&M's. It's a silk. And it's not very variegated. which I really wanted for this project because I didn't want to have to like use my brain a lot in figuring out like what path I wanted to take to stitch things, and so I'm really happy with this. I really wanted to start this while I was traveling to visit my parents just because this has a cool travel theme, and so I thought stitching on it while I'm traveling would be awesome. So I started this on the plane on the way home, and I love it. I love it, and I want to go back to stitching it right now. I have this huge piece of fabric, and I think this is gonna stitch up pretty small because it's 40 count. So I think I'll have lots of other things to do on this fabric, which is very exciting. Next, let me just pull up my friend's Instagram so I don't say the wrong thing. Okay, so a friend of mine, you can find her on Instagram at Down Allison Road. She and I have decided to do a SAL together, which for anyone who is not familiar with that acronym, Stitch Along, S-A-L, SAL. And we were both super excited for the Stitch Rovia book. I'm trying to remember the name of the book. It has, it's like an Earth Day theme book. Let me pull it up. I actually ended up getting the digital copy, which is like a cool thing for me with cross stitch because I stitch off of digital patterns, and I was a little worried that like having the Kindle version and having it only accessible in the Kindle app would make it hard to like work on it, because I usually will work on it in another program that lets me like highlight and stuff. But what I ended up being able to do is just like screenshot it and convert that to a PDF, which is way easier than having to scan something in out of a book. So I want to be clear, I'm not doing that in any nefarious way. It's just me making a working copy that I'll destroy when I'm done. Won't be shared with anybody. But so this is the cover of the book, Cross Stitch for the Earth. This is a super cute book. And so for this SAL, which, let me see, I don't think she's got a specific hashtag going for that. But we decided to do this pattern first. Of course, I have to scroll to it. This is the pattern we decided to do. Honestly, like, I love most of the patterns in the book and want to do a lot of them at some point. But this is the one we decided to start with, and I really wasn't sure what fabric I wanted to do this on. And so I bought a few options and had them shipped to my parents' house so that I would be able to start it as soon as possible. And so actually that's why I had this light blue Ada, because I bought this as an option to do for this project, and I decided I didn't want to do that. I also bought a piece of like 20 count, like more ivory. Decided I didn't like that. So I ended up going with an antique white, but I'm doing it on 25 count over 1. I don't know why I was compelled to do this. Please don't ask me why. And I have the tiniest, most measly start, but I started it. If you want to see much more progress than me, go to Down Allison Road on Instagram. She's got way more progress than me. She's gonna beat me for sure. Although she and I were joking that she'll make a ton of progress and then set it aside for a long time. So I'll have time to catch up. All right, my next start. This one is by Happy Sloth. This is Captain Janeway. I'll put a picture of what this will look like here. And I'm doing this on a piece of Color and Cotton Lugana 32 count in the color Nightshade. So here's my start on it. And if you have seen Star Trek before, particularly Voyager, then you'll know that around that era of Star Trek, they start wearing these like periwinkle blue, purpley undershirts underneath their uniforms. And so I kind of went with that vibe when picking the color, and I really like it so far. This is just the top of Janeway's head. And I am stitching this for a friend of mine who just had a baby, whose favorite character is Catherine Janeway. And so I'm gonna stitch this like as a sort of modern baby sampler concept, and maybe put her daughter's name like underneath the "Women Belong on the Bridge" part. Anyway, I'm having a huge blast with this project. And the extra fun part is that my dad is a huge fan of Star Trek, and he passed his Star Trek fandom onto me. This may be slightly boring for anybody not Star Trek fans, but I promise this will be a short story. So he and I have embarked on a plan to watch chronologically through every piece of Star Trek content ever made. And by chronologically, we don't mean like when it came out, we mean like when it was set in human time. So we're starting with Star Trek Enterprise, which came out in the early 2000s, I believe. And so I was a kid when that was coming out. And so my dad used that as the opportunity to introduce me to Star Trek because he was watching it live as it was coming out. And I was obsessed. I fell in love with it from the first second. And he was always like, I mean, this is fine, but just wait until I show you Star Trek Next Generation. And of course he was right. I know that Star Trek Enterprise gets a lot of hate, but it's really fun going back and watching it again. The first few episodes have been rough, but we just got to like episode 7 or something, and it was fantastic. So, long story long, I've been stitching on this Star Trek project while we watch it. And since I was home with my dad, we were getting to watch it at the same time. We won't get to do that forever. Now that we're not in the same place, I'll be watching it and he'll be watching it, and then we'll talk about it. But we're gonna stay synced up. It's gonna take us a zillion years to watch through all the Star Trek. I mean, there's like over 90 episodes of Star Trek Enterprise alone. So it's gonna take us a while. He was like, how about an episode a week? And I'm like, how about that's gonna take us over 2 years to watch just Enterprise? And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe we gotta go faster than that. But along the Star Trek theme, the last thing that I took from my parents' house that I'm gonna show you is the proof that I've always been a nerd. So when I turned 11, I think this was for my 11th birthday, my family went to Las Vegas to visit. At the time, my aunt and uncle lived there. And while we were there, we went to the Star Trek Experience, which is no longer existing. But it was super cool. They had like an actual Quarks bar, which at the time I did not know what that was, but now I do, and I'm really sad that it doesn't exist anymore, so I can't go to Quarks bar. But anyway, because at the time Star Trek Enterprise was all I knew, when we got the chance to take pictures that they would like put into a Star Trek crew picture, I chose Star Trek Enterprise. They had like all the shows that you could pick from. I chose Enterprise. And there's me with my hat on sideways, my Blue Man Group hat sideways, because I thought it was so cool. Anyway, I don't know why I'm choosing to embarrass myself by showing you that photo, but I just thought it would be fun. Anyway, so once I'm finished with this project, I will continue to stitch on Star Trek things while I watch Star Trek with my dad. So I have a couple of things lined up for when this one's done. And I know this one is kind of big, but there aren't that many colors and it goes pretty fast. So I don't think that one will take me too terribly long. Okay, and my final start that I have to show you, it's still on my Q-snap because I didn't want to put it down. This is a spoiler. This is a spoiler for the Rainbow Stitching Black Needle Society box. If you have not gotten your box yet and you don't want to know what's inside the box, please, this is my last start I have to show you. I have links in my description to progress you to WIPs, which is what will be next. So just click on that link to go to WIPs and you won't see what I'm about to show. I'll give you a second to do that. Okay, so when I opened the Rainbow Stitching box, the fabric blew me away. And at first I was concerned because I've never stitched on fabric like this before. I've never stitched on anything quite so vibrant and quite like so colorful. When there's so many colors in a fabric, it can be really tricky to find something that will stand out on top of all those colors and not just fade away or blend in. But immediately I was brimming with ideas of what I wanted to do, and I had no plans to start another thing. I have a project stack, you can see up to here, of like what I've worked on this month. I did not need to add another project to the pile, but I couldn't help myself. I stumbled and it happened. So I knew that I wanted to do something Pride related, but that would be, because I am straight and cis, I wanted to do something that was like in support of the LGBT community, that like wouldn't be weird for a cis straight person to put up in their house. So I found this. This is by Dirty Cuss Stitch. I showed patterns from them in my last video that I bought. And so like I had seen this and I had favorited it, but I didn't buy it. And I just went ahead and I went back and bought it. Because it resonates with me so much and I just loved it. So I decided to pull my own colors. I played around with a few different things, frogged them, felt like they were blending in too much with the fabric, and then I found this combination that I'm so excited about. So here it is. Here's my start. I only started in on the background. It's getting washed out a little bit. That's pretty true to the colors. I also spent quite a lot of effort figuring out how to place this onto the fabric so that it was in like the color positioning that I wanted, of like how the colors were laying on the fabric, but also that I would have enough room to do something else. Because this fabric is too good to only be used once. So this was the combo that I ended up going with. The border color that I'm using is Gentle Art Geranium. I was looking for something a little bit more highly variegated because I thought that would be fun for this border. And the model, hopefully you saw in the picture that I showed, uses a more variegated color, and I think that's a really cool effect. But it was just getting too lost and too busy in the background, and so I think the solid color actually is really what it needed. So I'm happy with that. I have not made a final decision for the letter color, but I did pull something that I'm gonna try and then see how I feel about it, and that is Peacock by Gentle Art. So I'll try that. I'll put a little bit of that in and see if I like it. And if not, it'll be back to the stash. So I'm really excited about this start. I love it so much. And when we get to haul, I will, actually, you know what? I'm gonna show you here because we're in the safe space of not spoiling, especially the folks from Australia of this fabric. So I'm just gonna show you here instead of in haul what I bought with the intent of putting it on the other side of this fabric. So this is from Happy Sloth. I think it's gonna fit. I think. I haven't like exactly counted it out that it's gonna fit on the other side of this fabric, but I think it will. So this is another Star Trek one, so I'll put this in the pile for things to do after I'm done with Janeway. But this is a Vulcan quote, and it's very interesting because it actually like has come up in the first few episodes of Star Trek Enterprise. The Vulcan character on the ship talks about this. And I just think it's such a fantastic quote, and the charting of it by Happy Sloth is so beautiful. And so I picked, this side of the fabric is much redder than the other side, I think, the piece that I got. And so I think between having like more of the blues and purples on the other side, and also like the vibrancy of the colors of that one, I think it won't blend in too terribly with all the colors going on in the fabric. So that's the plan. I can't guarantee that will happen, but that's what I'm going for. Okay, now we've done starts, we've done finishes. Up next are whips. The first whip I have to show you is my 25/7 project. 25/7 is a group on Facebook that I'm not in, but I'm doing the thing along with a bunch of my friends who are doing it too, where you stitch on one project for either 25 stitches or 25 minutes every single day until you finish it. And a lot of people have picked struggle projects that they can't tolerate working on for more than a little bit at a time, or projects that they don't really reach for, that they want to put some time into. So I have done that. I picked something that I wasn't really reaching for, but that I really wanted to get finished. So here's my progress. This is Piano by Woohoo, I think, on Etsy. I think that's right. And I am over 60% done on this, which is fantastic. I think when I started it, I was 40-some% done. And I have projected, I posted this on Instagram, but I projected that if I continue at approximately the rate that I've been stitching, that I will finish this sometime in August, which is so good to hear, very comforting. That I will be able to finish this year if I keep going on it. So yay! I love how this is coming together. We are about to hit these horizontal sections of keys. It'll be a lot of white stitching, so it's gonna be kind of difficult to like show up in pictures and on video to show you my progress, but hopefully you'll be able to see how it's going. I have been working in these diagonals. I'm just following the colors. And so I finished this black diagonal yesterday, and so now my plan is to carry down this like gray diagonal section here, and then we're into the keys. So I'm loving this, loving working on this. Okay, next let's talk about my my pieces that I pull out for one day of the month. First we have the piece that I work on the 6th of every month. That was, this is after the attempted Capitol insurrection on, I think that was January 6th. January or February? I can't remember now. But since then, I've worked on this project every 6th of the month. So here's my progress on it. This project is really slow going. The flowers take a really long time, but I like working on this a lot, and I think it's coming along nicely. For some reason, every 6th of the month is like not a convenient day for me to be doing very much stitching. And so, you know, this project only gets like 100, 150 stitches instead of, you know, it's rare. There'll be days where I'll get in 500 to 700 stitches in a day. Again, rare, but like that never happens on a 6th of the month. Ever. So maybe at the end of the year, I'll like put in like a week of work on that one or something. I don't know. Next, on the 7th of every month, I work on something Harry Potter because 7 is a magical number. And usually I've been working on Harry Potter covers collage, which I will show you in a little bit. But by this time I was at home visiting my parents, and I didn't want to travel with all the stuff that has to come with that project. So I brought a smaller project to work on. This is Quidditch jumpers. I don't have the designer for this handy. Maybe I'll put it on the screen if I think of it. But so here is what that will look like. And here's my progress on it. I worked primarily on this sweater here, just adding in the bronzy color. This is the Ravenclaw one. This is a 40 count, something, I don't know, some sort of 40 count. And I love this project. I would have stitched on this for hours and hours and hours if I had time, but I was hanging out with my family, so I only got a little bit of progress on this one. But that one's a back burner project, so it's nice to be able to pull that out every once in a while. Next, on the 8th of the month, because Hanukkah has 8 nights, I pull out a Hanukkah project. So this came out of Just Cross Stitch, December 2020. So there's my progress. I worked on this strip of the star. And I need to pull out my flosses for this. I don't have them all collected for some reason for this project. I just pull each one as I need it. And there are a lot of colors in this project that are subtly different, and I think that's on purpose. Like this gray here and this gray and this gray are not the same gray, but they look really similar. This color is supposed to be a different color from this one, but to my eye they look identical. So I want to pull out what this one is supposed to be and what this one is supposed to be and put them next to each other and see if they really are that similar, or if I made a boo-boo. This one is definitely stitched in the right color because I had to pull it out to bring it with me, and I didn't have what this one was supposed to be. So I'm gonna do that and check. I mean, it's not the end of the world if they're the same and they weren't supposed to be, but I was stitching on it and I was like, did I do this right? Anyway, I'm liking that project a lot. I'm kind of hoping that I'll finish it by the end of the year, having worked on it once a month. Because it has such chunks of solid color, I can like get through a good chunk of it in a sitting, which is really nice. You guys, I am so dehydrated, it's not even funny. All right, on the 14th of the month, I pull out 100 Owls, put a picture, by Owl Forest. Athena of Stitching Goddess Designs and I are doing this together. because both of our birthdays are on the 14th of a month. Hers is February, mine is April. And we started this project together late last year. And so when we decided we wanted a birthday sal, we picked this one because we're both doing it. So there's my progress. I added in, I've been trying to do like a little owl and a little non-owl motif when I work on this. Obviously I won't be able to do that when I get to some of the bigger owls, but for the smaller owls it's pretty doable. So I put in this little guy right here and he's so cute. I love him. And then I put in this little flower or leaf motif there. And I love how this is showing up on this fabric. It's so cool looking. I have a blast working on this. This is 40 count, by the way, stitched with the called for Owl Forest flosses. This is another one that like is always kind of a bummer to only get one day a month to stitch on this. I have older Owl Forest projects that I would like to finish before like this becomes a major focus project. Carrot Forest primarily. But I just bought a bunch of new Owl Forest and I already had a bunch in my stash. So I guess those are gonna have to wait until 100 Owls gets more love because I will not allow 100 Owls to languish. All right, finally, in the series of things that I work on once a month, on the 20th of every month, I pull out the Pandemic 2020 Sampler by Sarcy Girl. I do it on the 20th of the month because it's 2020. So that was just yesterday. I'm doing this on a piece of 40 count. Gosh, what is the fabric? I don't know. I gotta do a better job at that. I track so much stuff and yet I can never remember what the fabric is. Anyway, I'm doing this on a piece of 40 count. I believe it is a Zweigart. And there's my progress. I finished up this top border, so that top border is totally done. And I put in this motif right here. I gotta be honest, I have no idea what that motif is. It looks like a coat of arms type of thing, like a bird looking one way and a bird looking the other way. I don't know what it is, but it looks cool. And when I got this project out to work on it, my boyfriend was like, wow, those colors are so you. Yeah, they are. It's why I was so excited to start this project because like, I mean, come on. Look at these. My threads are a huge tangled mess, but I mean, yes, these colors are amazing. They're all DMC. They're very, very me. And so working on this project is such a joy. I could be stitching literally any subject, and if it were in these colors, I'd be happy. But it just adds to this amazing project that actually really love the content of the sampler as well. Which, by the way, the border on that is taking 8 million years. Those flowers are huge. And so I'm trying to like alternate between border stitching and motif stitching, but I'm gonna try and go page by page at least approximately. So I'm gonna need to finish that left-sided border before I move on from this page. So maybe I'll do, you know, like a few lengths of border, a few lengths of motif every time I pull it out. I'm getting a low battery warning. I'm just gonna change that real quick so that it doesn't cut me off mid-sentence. I'll be right back to keep showing you webs. Okay, I'm back. So, I briefly worked on Pride and Prejudice by Stitching Book Club during the Black Needle Society Up All Night event. I didn't make a ton of progress. What did I work on? Yes, I see. Okay. So I worked on these flowers here in the middle. So that one, I feel like that's been hovering on like pretty close, but still a bit left to go for like a year. I remember working on this project during, I think it was the Show Me retreat in April of 2020. And during that retreat, I messed up the border and I had to pull some of it out and redo it. And I feel like since then I've just been like inching along on this project, barely making any progress. And I would really, really, really like to get this finished before the next Stitching Book Club sale, which is Little Women. I really want to do that one. And that starts on June 12th. So I've been focused on other stuff in May, but I think beginning of June, I'm just gonna buckle down and work on that till it's done so that I can, with a clear mind and soul, move on to working on Little Women. But speaking of what I've been focused on in May, I showed you the 2 finishes that I have. So the other thing that I worked on was the Woodland Sal by Doreen Jones, run by Lakeside Needlecraft, stitched on the Lakeside Needlecraft fabric. So this is what it'll look like completed. And here's my progress. It probably doesn't look like much, but I finished the owl. I finished the owl completely. Maybe I'll show a picture of what this looked like last time if I have one, because with the back stitching in, it looks so good. So good. So if I have time with the rest of the month, after the rest of my goals are complete, I will start on the rabbit that goes next to him. I think I still have a little bit of stitching to do in the size category that this is. This is a large project. I don't think I've met my large goal yet. So I think I will have to pull this out regardless. Okay. We're still in whips. We've been here forever. But now I'll pull out the whips that I have monthly goals for. This one, the monthly goals are pretty loose at this point because I just know that they are unattainable, and trying to stress myself out over attaining them is gonna make me not want to work on it ever. But so I worked on this a little bit while I was home with my parents. I will put on the screen what it is. I'm not gonna say it out loud because my office shares a wall. But that's my progress. I believe the only thing I worked on since the last time I showed it to you is this unfinished block here. Those blocks take me forever. Forever. But I really do like this project when I don't feel pressure about it, so I'm trying to relieve some of the pressure. Because it's all self-inflicted. Everyone raise your hand if you know anything about self-inflicted pressure. Hi, my name is Beth and I put unnecessary pressure on myself. Okay. Next, we have the Modern Folk Embroidery Sow. As I get this out, I'm realizing that there's probably really not that much that I did on this since the last time I showed it to you, which makes me feel stupid showing it to you. I think all I did is this little line right here. Because I showed this to you last when I finished the second page. So now I feel a little silly. This has more to go on it for my May goal, so this will come out again before the end of the month. I think, could be wrong, but I think this is the only project I took home to my parents' house that I did not work on. I brought 10 projects home. 10. And then I started an additional one. So I started an 11th. Well, no, I started 2 additional ones. Because I started the Stitch Rovia piece too. And I started the Ink Circles one. Oh my god. But like the majority of the whips that I showed you were ones that I brought home with me. The only one I didn't bring home, Pandemic didn't come home because I worked on that since I got home. Pride and Prejudice I worked on before I left. Good Trouble I worked on before I left. Everything else came home with me. Also, the one that I'm about to show you did not come home with me, which is covers, Harry Potter covers collage by Fox and Teacup. I will, while I get it out, I'll put a picture of that here. So here's my progress. Oh man, this is looking so cool in the camera. That's what I have so far. And I am trying to finish this page down here. I believe I've hit the bottom of the page. But it also includes a strip of chamber over here that I have not started. But man, that archway is looking so cool. So I'm going to add a bit of haul to this section of the program because I want to show you the new things that I got for this project. I got new floss organizers. I've forgotten what these are. Excuse me. I've forgotten what these are called, so I'm going to put it on the screen. I was introduced to the concept of these thread organizers by Jessie Marie Does Stuff. She made a video on her channel about how she organizes her full coverage projects. And when I went to go buy these, I was looking for what they were called, and I was looking for that video on her channel and I couldn't find it. I think it's just like inside of another video that she talked about these. I don't think she did like a independent video just about these. Cause she also talked about like her DMC organization, how she has like a whole file cabinet, and it was a really cool video and I cannot find it anywhere. So if anybody knows what video I'm talking about and knows exactly which one it is, please like let me know which one. Cause I would love to watch it again. But anyway, I've been frustrated by my full coverage project, floss storage. I had been storing my floss in bags like this, where I would put the floss number and the symbol, and then I would put like a little symbol up in the corner so that when I was like rifling through my bag of floss, that I could find it more easily. But like I still had a really hard time finding things. This corner didn't help enough. I really had to search and search to find what I was looking for. And using Pattern Keeper, the symbols aren't as important as they would be if you were stitching without Pattern Keeper, because you see a symbol in the pattern, you highlight it, it highlights all the symbols that are like it, and then in the upper right corner it tells you what floss number that is. So you don't have to like, you know, look onto a reference sheet to see what floss number that symbol is. So rather than looking things up by symbol, it's way easier to keep things in numerical order by floss number and look it up that way, because I don't have to look through all of the floss to find the symbol. I just can see like, oh, I'm looking for this number, you know, go exactly where that number would be in numerical order and just grab it. So I was like, well, if I'm gonna totally redo the way I store my floss anyway, storing floss in bags like this means that like I kind of want to stitch all in this color until I'm ready to move on to a different color. And areas where I'm switching colors really frequently, pulling out a bunch of bags is kind of annoying. And I would never, stitching out of these bags, I would never like stitch one length in this color, then another length in another color, and then come back to this color. Like, if I'm gonna pull out a color, I'm gonna stitch it everywhere I can get to. But it's still kind of annoying to have to do that. But with these, I can just easily find the color that I need because it's in numerical order, and then I can just slip off easily with my needle, just like a thread drop. I can just slip off the length that I want, and then I can switch to another color and come back to that one. Like it's all the same to me. Like whichever floss I want to grab is easy to grab. This project did have enough colors that I needed 2. I needed like 1.5. I know they make smaller ones, but I just went with 2 of the full size. And I know like most people when they write on these things, they write the symbol, but again, it was way easier for me to just put the floss number. But the box is kind of small, so what I ended up doing is I wrote like in the box that top number is in a 3-digit number, the first number, and then the bottom 2 are the following numbers, and then in the 4-digit numbers, you can see it takes up the whole box. So yes, this is kind of all over the place, but it leads to way faster stitching. So the one thing I haven't really figured out is to one, like how to like not have these all like kind of dusty and exposed. And 2, like storing these is kind of harder. So I have this big project bag, but storing the fabric and 2 of those is like kind of too much even for this guy. And by the way, yes, these are like really dangly, but they don't really tangle. They just are kind of all over the place and in the way. So they fit long ways into this project bag, but then the fabric as well, like it gets a little trickier. And also these things have like the tines on them to wrap the fabric around, but I don't want to catch, to wrap the thread around, but I don't want to catch the fabric on them. So I'm still playing around with how I'm going to store this. But as for like ease of the stitching experience, highly superior. To the point that I have bought a 3rd one. I'm not going to buy more than this. I'm just going to do the 3. This is going to be for my piano piece. I have not put the threads on it yet, but I have numbered it. And as you can see, I only needed half of the thing. So I think I will probably, like for the future, I've got my large full coverage piece and my small full coverage piece. And when piano finishes, I will bring in a new small full coverage piece. When covers finishes, I'll bring in probably a Haid. That's gonna need more than just the one floss organizer. And live the floss organization life. Super happy with that. Obviously it's still a bit of a work in progress, but it's going really, really great. And I have more work on covers to do for my end of the month goal as well. So between those, I have like a bunch of stitching ahead of me. Tonight is Friday night stitching with friends. So I have a group of friends that hangs out and stitches on Friday night. So I usually get a bunch done with them. So I'm probably gonna pull out like either covers or modern folk embroidery and just like crush those tonight. That was all the stitching that I had to show you, but I have so much haul. I have so much haul that I am not even gonna show all of it to you in this video. I'm saving some of it for my next video, which is not gonna have less haul because next video is probably gonna include my haul from StitchCon and going to Keepsakes. But I just have too much to show you in this video, and this video has already been super long. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling and adding more length to this video, and I'm gonna show you some haul. All right, let's start off haul with some digital patterns. You would think that I would be able to refrain from buying digital patterns, that I could just, you know, add them to my Etsy wish list and move on. But I have no self-control. So I bought some digital patterns. I showed you a couple already in earlier in the video, but I'll show you the rest now. So when I was watching Off the Grid, I believe that's the name of the channel, Off the Grid Needle Arts, maybe. I came across a fantastic pattern. I am a Ravens fan, and I saw her showing a Ravens pattern in her like thumbnail of her video, and I was like, what is that? Like I've never been able to find a pattern that I've liked before. So she told me what it was, and I went and bought it immediately. So this is by the Cross Stitch Guy. I'll put a picture here of what it looks like. And then of course, because my boyfriend is a Patriots fan, I got a matching Patriots one to go with it. Yes, it's difficult. No, we do not get along about it. We work through it. It's a little bit fun for me now that Brady is gone and they're bad. Helps a little bit with the ego. Moving right along, I stumbled upon somebody doing this Sal in a Facebook group, and I had to jump on it. It is called the We Believe Sal by Notorious Needle. So I'll put a picture. It is still going. And I don't know when I'm gonna start this. I don't think I'm gonna start this like soon or anything. I'm probably gonna wait till it's all out and I can see if I want to do the whole thing or if I want to do it in pieces. They release lots of options, so I'll probably wait a little bit and see what this is gonna look like, but I did get that. Next, on the Star Trek theme, I have been looking for a Tea Earl Grey Hot pattern, which is a quote from Captain Picard. I say a quote, but like it's just like a catchphrase, a thing that he says all the time in the show. And I've been looking for a pattern that had that on it, and I just didn't like anything that was out there for a multitude of reasons. And then I found this one. This is by Delphi Creations. It's a teeny tiny little pattern and such a cute idea, and by far my favorite of this concept that I've ever seen. So I grabbed it. And the thing that I love so much are the pips that are on the on all the uniforms in Star Trek that show like what rank everybody is, are added to this teacup with beads. It's so cool. If you like this concept but you're not a Star Trek fan or you just want to see what else this designer has, go to their Etsy because they have like every fandom on the planet in teacup format. So go check that out. They're great. Next, I purchased from Meow. I don't actually know how to say that. I'll put this on the screen. I discovered this shop because there were a few people on Instagram posting, reposting from this designer's Instagram because something happened with the algorithms and this designer like went from selling a reasonable amount of patterns per month to like none. And it's not like her main income or anything, but it supports her continuing to do things that she likes to do in her life, which I fully support. And I totally understand how like betraying the algorithm can be. And I don't know if it's the Etsy algorithm or the Instagram algorithm or both. I don't know what's causing the problem. But she's just like not getting sales all of a sudden. So to support her shop, I favorited a bunch of things and added a bunch of things to my cart so that the algorithm would do its thing. But then I also bought one thing, and I have more things that I want to buy. Trying to be good. But I couldn't resist this specific one. And it's called It's Okay to Rest. And in this pattern, it includes both a square version and a round version, but I think I'm going to do the square version. And the colors are beautiful, the sentiment is beautiful, everything about it is beautiful. So yeah, love that. And finally, from Happy Sloth, since I was buying one thing from them that I mentioned earlier, I had to buy something else. I love their shop, and I have a lot of things from their shop. So it was almost hard to find something else to get that I hadn't already bought. But I love this comic book, To Be Continued, and I think I'm gonna make it into a bookmark. So that might have to be a gift for my dad. I don't know, we'll see. So those were my digital purchases. Next, sorry, I'm just getting that on my lap. Let's talk about, I have so many things in front of me. Let's talk about floss first. So I got some clubs in the mail. I subscribe to 3 Owl Threads Nest Egg, and I get Gentle Art. And so, whoa. Okay, never mind. I thought there was a weird thing with this game, but everything's fine. So I get Gentle Art. So this is what I got. I got Tarnished Gold, Sunflower. This color is like a beautiful golden yellow. I got Old Hickory. I got Sweet Pea. I really like this color. It's like a pinky purple. Straw Bonnet. Onyx. This is great because I was looking for this color and I ended up not needing it. I was looking for it for the Cottage Garden piece that I'm doing, Peace on Earth. I ended up not needing it because it was for part of the chart I was chopping out, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So it's cool that I was able to get it through this. Summer Meadow. Soot. Pomegranate. This is a beautiful color. And Sweet Petunia. That's getting really blown out. There we go. Next, I had a 1, 2, 3 stitch alert set up for when they got things back in stock that they were out of stock of that I needed. So when I got the alert that they got Hollyberry, Gentle Art Hollyberry back in stock, I had to grab it. And I had literally just made a giant order from 1, 2, 3 Stitch that I'll show you in a minute that did not include this. And I was like, come on, because I hate just ordering like just one skein of floss. I like to order at least a few things, but I had just made a big order of things that I didn't need. And I'm like, I don't need more things I don't need. So I just bought the one skein of floss, and that made it way more expensive than it should have been because of shipping, and I just did it because I need the color. And then Carla, from Carla Being Crafty on Instagram and Flosstube, saw my Flosstube last time about needing this one and one other floss for Peace on Earth. And she messaged me saying that she had some of the other color that I needed. Miraculously, not the one that just became available on 123 Stitch, the other one. Amazing. And so she said, I have it, it's not even a full skein, but if you'd like me to send it to you, I'm happy to. Carla, thank you so much. So she sent me the partial skein that she had, which looks like a pretty full skein, of Gentle Art Cranberry. Thank you so much, Carla. And if you don't follow her or subscribe to her, you should. She has the most amazing Hanukkah headband that I've ever seen. So thank you so much, Carla. All right, I also got my NPI club through Fat Quarter Shop. And we always get 5 colors in like a color family. So this time we got almond cream. These are all various shades of like white ivory cream, which at first glance is kind of like not that exciting, but it's actually probably super useful. So glad to have those in my stash. And probably not ones like I would have bought for myself unless I was looking for something to kit up a project. So it's nice to get that type of stuff sent to you in a subscription, because then you end up using it, honestly. All right, next. I purchased from Almond M&M's Ymir Dyes Silk. And she just put out a May Flowers 12 pack. So I picked that up. So this one is called Wild Hibiscus. And honestly, I'm gonna say my only complaint about these flosses, or silks, is that she packages them with like a sticky paper that sticks to the floss and is like kind of hard to get off of it. But working with the silk is amazing. So this one is called Wild Hibiscus. We've got Periwinkle Peony. I love this one. This one is Agave Nectar. Lily of the Valley. Dried Rosemary. This one has some pretty subtle variegation in it. And we've got Seaweed, which is a really pretty mint green. We have, I'm not sure what this one is called. Anthem Fire? I don't know. I can't read that one. She handwrites these, by the way, in the tiniest, most adorable handwriting. And this one I just can't read. I think it's posted on her website though, so I can figure out what that one's supposed to be. This one is, I believe, Orchid. This one is like a neon yellow called Buttercup. I love this one a lot. This one is Lilac. And we've got Birds of Paradise. And this really variegated Geranium Rose. That's got like dark pink to light pink. so those are the 12 silks I got from Ymir that came like in a 12 pack. And really affordable. It doesn't say on here how much I paid for them, but really affordable. That was all my floss. Next, let me move on and show you what I got from that 1-2-3 stitch order I was telling you about, that I just like bought a bunch of things I didn't need. So I got just some rings to put floss on, because I am accumulating quite a lot being in these clubs, and my floss rings are a little bit overtaxed. Next, I got this Clover creaser and turner. It's good for turning pillows out because it's got a really pointy point. I feel like I had one of those, oh no, I had a creaser a really long time ago. So you use this end for creasing and this end for pointing. And I had a creaser that I used mostly for paper, but I think this is meant for fabric. But it would be good like if you're hemming or something to be able to give it a little bit of a crease there. Next, for some reason I was in the mood of like buying tools. I bought a snag repair needle, and in the past I have bought snag nabbits. I have multiple of them and I love them. But I discovered that Clover makes a similar tool. This one is really similar to the snag nabbit. It looks like pretty much the same. It might be a little bit thinner, but it looks pretty similar. But then they make a much skinnier one that's like the same idea, but just skinnier. And so that'll be really, really great for like 40 count. Because the regular snag nabbit that I have only comes in at one size, and it just does not go through the little tiny holes in 40 count. So I bought this pack specifically for the skinnier one. Next, I bought the Star Detailer, and I've already used this. I put it back in the bag so I could show it to you. Obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'm fully aware that I could just like thread like an ort or something onto my needle and use that to pull through a tail, but it's just nice to have a tool to do it. And this is like sturdy and good, and this is honestly better than, you know, the floss threaders that are kind of this concept where it's just like a metal loop. The metal loop like goes inside and just is like glued inside the plastic handle. But this, the metal loop like comes out, like it just feels more secure in there. So when you're yanking on it, it's not gonna just break. Hopefully, that's the idea. Anyway, I really like that. Next, I bought some magnets. Not to make needle minders. These are actually like a little thick for what I would do for a needle minder. I bought these because I would like to put magnets on the back of my buttons. Y'all know I collect pins. And I also have quite a few buttons, but they don't, like, because of the straight back on them, they don't like stick into my pin board. And so I have them like on a separate thing. But if you've ever tried to like stick a button pin onto a piece of fabric, like you have to stick it in way far over to where you actually want it to end up, because it slides in to the fabric. And I can just never line them up and organize them the way that I want. They're always a bit haphazard. And I don't ever like put them on my clothes. I just want to display them. And so I thought it would be a fun idea to turn them into magnets and get like a magnetic board for them. And if I love that, then, you know, it's good practice for if I want to try making needle minders in the future. So I bought some E6000 glue to use with these. We'll see. We'll see if that works. If it works, I'll let you know. I don't know if I'm gonna need to remove the pin backing so that it's not in the way, or if these will be thick enough that it'll stick out past that. I don't know. I'll have to experiment. I also bought some more sticky board for finishing. I love this stuff. I don't know how I survived before I had it. All right, next I bought a couple of patterns. I've had my eye on this for a long time. I got the Hedgehog from the Quirky Quaker series by Darling and Whimsy Designs. I'm not gonna get the whole series, I just really like this one. Next, from Hands On Designs, I got Snail Slime, because y'all know I love snails. And I like an excuse to get a Halloween pattern because it takes a lot for me to want to stitch Halloween. So if I am excited about something Halloween, I get it. Because, you know, I like to be included in the Halloween excitement, even though Halloween is not like my thing. Next, I got a Jim Shore Mill Hill kit. Ace. I just like it. I think it's pretty. That, of course, comes with all the beads and stuff, and this is done actually on fabric, not on perforated paper. Looks like some 14 count Aida, which I am totally fine with. Hopefully it won't be sharp enough to cut me, but other than that, I'll be fine with it. Okay, and finally, I got something totally out of the box for me. I have no idea what this is gonna be like. But I got this bead kit. Again, I have really no idea. It looks like a Russian kit, so of course the instructions are gonna be all in Russian. So I'm gonna have to do some Google Translate on that. I haven't opened it yet, but it looks like it comes with everything I need. I don't know if this is like, the design is like printed on the fabric or, I have no idea. I don't know. And like, you can see in here, all the beads are just sort of like haphazardly placed. If they want me to just do my best at figuring out the placement of those beads, we might have a mental breakdown. But I don't know. If I hate it, it wasn't that expensive. I just thought it'd be fun to try. Next, from 123 Stitch, I got that 20 count ivory Aida that I mentioned, and the 16 count like ice blue Aida that I mentioned earlier, that I didn't end up using for the project that I had in mind, so now I just have them. I haven't really tried 20 count. I only have like maybe one other piece or two other pieces of it, but I have a project that I want to start soon in 20 count, so I'll get a chance to try it really soon. And the final thing I bought from 123 Stitch is I kitted up my first ever Mirabilia. So I ended up getting, oh, that's upside down. I ended up getting this one. This is, I don't actually know what the name of it is. I think it's like Moon Tea something, I don't know. Let me take it out and see. Silver Moon Tea. There it is. Silver Moon Tea. And it's charted on a piece of pink fabric. It's called for is on Witchelt Violet Mist linen, but we all know Witchelt is a little stiff, not a big fan. So I bought two options, and I'm gonna do a floss toss to see which one I like better. I got 32 count baby pink Belfast, and I got 32 count blush linen from Weeks Dye Works. So So here's what they look like together. This one is a little peachier. This one is a little bit more like bubblegum. So I'll do a floss toss and see which one I like better. I think I'm probably leaning toward this one, but I don't know. We'll see. And then I got all the called for beads, which is really not that much. So as memorabilias go, this one was not very big. It is nearly full coverage, or is full coverage. Yeah, it is full coverage. It's completely full coverage. So that does make it a little bit more complicated, but I mean, I'm fully comfortable with full coverage, so that's not that big a deal. The beading is not too terribly intense. So I felt like for my first ever memorabilia, this one would be a good one to try. I'm not one of those people that like love every memorabilia ever made. There are really only a handful that I would be interested in stitching. So it was not too terribly hard to narrow down that this is the one I wanted to start first. What was I gonna say? Oh, so because this is full coverage, and I don't want to have too many full coverage things going at once, I'm thinking that when I finish the piano is when I'll get to start this. All right, next, I got a new needle minder from Peppermint Purple. It's gonna be a little hard to see with all the glare, but it's like an unfinished blackwork block. Also, oh, this one's gonna be a little bit difficult to show you. Maybe I can do this. I ordered a corner clamp for my Lowry stand because I was having a ton of trouble getting my Q-snaps to stay in the regular clamp, because once I like put pressure on it this way, it would just rotate out of it till it fell out. I think part of the problem was using a grime guard. I think people that have more success with the side clamps don't use a grime guard. Yes, I tried like drawer, like tacky drawer liner, didn't really help. So I ended up going with a corner clamp, and I'm in love. I'm in love. I am now as excited about my Lowry stand as I thought I would be when I first got it. So, I mean, it was an added expense, but totally worth it. Totally worth it. All right. The final stitchy haul I have to show you is from getting to go to an LNS. So LNS, or needlework shop, local needlework shop, is something that I do not have. Here in St. Louis, we do not have a local needlework shop that like specializes in cross stitch. There is one like 30 minutes away from where I live that specializes in needlepoint. They have a lot of cool specialty threads, but that's pretty much it. And they don't really sell a lot of cotton. They sell a lot of like silk and pearl cotton and other types of things. They don't really sell like the 6-stranded embroidery cotton. So like, you know, if I needed some Karen water lilies or something, I'd probably go out there if I couldn't order it online. But we don't have an LNS here. We did for like a hot minute when Color and Cotton opened up a LNS called Cardinal Needleworks, but they opened up literally like a month before the pandemic. They tried to operate for a month or so during the pandemic with, you know, drive-up orders and online orders and stuff, and that just wasn't really working out. And so they decided to close for now. The hope is that one day they'll be able to open again, but they've now since moved their dye studio, so they're not even dyeing in the place where they originally opened their shop. Their new dye studio doesn't have space for a shop, so they would have to find a new location, and they're just not there. Right now, they're really focused on dyeing, which is great. But it means that I don't have an LNS anymore. So long story long, when I was going home to visit my parents, I looked around and discovered that there is a needle workshop not far from where my parents live. It's called the Stitching Post. It's in Catonsville, Maryland. And amusingly, it's in the same strip mall as the comic book shop that my dad went to for my entire life. I just wasn't a stitcher when I lived at home. And so I never knew that it existed. And now that I do, I took an afternoon on my own. I was thinking about taking my mom with me, but she was busy with the other stuff that I mentioned that she was doing while I was home. And I have a friend who has taken up stitching, who lives in my hometown, but she had other stuff, so she couldn't come with me. So I just went by myself, and which is honestly kind of preferable. I felt like, you know, I'm home, I should be maximizing the time that I'm spending with people that I don't get to see. But being at home for 10 days is like, it's like a lot of parent time. I love my parents to death, but I definitely welcomed a little bit of a me break, and being able to look around in a needle workshop by yourself where no one is pressuring you like, hey, I'm ready to go, are you ready to go? And you can walk around at your own pace, and I actually kind of loved that I got to go by myself. And the ladies at the shop were so nice and welcoming. I just had a fabulous experience there. So if you're in Maryland or traveling through Maryland, the Stitching Post in Catonsville, Maryland, highly recommend. I know there is one other at least in Maryland, but it's in Ocean City. Laura and Katie from the Black Needle Society and Pattern Queens and all that fun stuff, they did like a big road trip, went to a bunch of shops. So they went to the shop in Ocean City, and they were asking me if I was gonna go there, but Ocean City is like 3 hours from my parents' house, so that wasn't really gonna work out. There's also one in Virginia that's like not too terribly far. Like my dad used to work in Virginia, so like Virginia's not like so far from where I grew up, but it's far enough that like to take time away from people that I'm there to see, to go all the way there by myself wasn't really something I was willing to do. But one shop, still fantastic, and still thrilled that I got to do it. So of course I bought a lot of things. I let myself have no self-control while I was there. And it was funny because I was carrying around things, and I was carrying around a big stack of fabric, and I had multiple people walk by me and be like, that's a lot of fabric. Like, sorry, I never get a chance to like see fabric in person and touch it and look at it and want to buy it. So, yeah, I bought a lot of things. So let's dive in to showing you what I bought. Let's start with fabric, because I was just talking about it. I did not do this on purpose. They had other fabrics too, but I ended up buying all things that are color and cotton. So I bought a piece of 18 count sand. We've got a piece of 32 count linen in Valor. This piece of fabric, oh my gosh. Look at how gorgeous that is. It's like a sage green color. I love it. Then we've got 32 count Haunted. I have another piece of this that I have slated for Quaker Snowflakes by Hello from Liz Matthews, which she happens to live in Maryland, and the Stitching Post is her LNS, which is cool. But anyway, so I have a piece of this fabric for that, but I love this fabric so much I know I'll find other things to do with it. Next, we have a piece of 32 count Woodland. I am relatively sure I already have a piece of Woodland, but that's okay. It's so beautiful. I'm gonna find things to do with it. Then we have 32 count Feldspar. This is like a strange light blue and tan sort of modeling, but gorgeous. And we have 32 count linen in tarnish. I believe I also have a piece of this slated for another project. I want to say maybe Yellow Submarine, but again, so beautiful that I need to have it also available for other things in my stash. Or no, maybe this is the color of, this might be the color of Lindy Stitch's, I forget the rest. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, so beautiful. So beautiful. Then I got a piece of 40 count Alchemy. It's just a pretty gray blue. And 40 count Fog. This is just a nice neutral, beautiful color. So yeah, that's a lot of fabric. And my fabric storage is overflowing. I have absolutely no room. That's okay. Then I bought patterns. I bought Music and Books by Little House Needleworks. I bought by the ooh, yeah, okay. I was like, uh oh, hopefully I wasn't showing the pattern on the back there. This is by the Drawn Thread. This is called Those Who Sing. And it's just beautiful birds in a tree. And it says, those who wish to sing always find a song. Next I got Wildflowers by the Blue Flower. I believe this came out at Needlework Expo earlier this year. And the words on it say, buttercups have honeyed hearts, bees they love the clover, but I love the daisies, dance all the meadow over. And it's got bees down there and wildflowers up here, and it's stunningly gorgeous. Next I got from Erica Michaels, Fall for Autumn. In classic Erica Michaels fashion, the model of this is full coverage, probably on 40 count gauze. I will not do that. No thank you. Next I got from Praiseworthy Stitches, Frosty Friends. Now let me tell you, this pattern, if I just had the picture on the cover to go by, I would never have bought this. But they had the model there. And the specialty stitches in this model are so beautiful. Let me put a picture here of what the model looked like on their wall. Oh boy, so beautiful. I'm contemplating only doing the snowman and not doing all the other stuff. But I don't know, we'll see. My camera is flashing at me something I don't know what it means, so hopefully we're okay here. Next, these two I'm gonna have to hold them far back because I don't have a model picture for them. I should have taken pictures of the models in the store, but they were like up high and like kind of behind a table, and I didn't even see where the charts were for them. I was right. That flashing was telling me I was running out of memory. Anyway, so I walked by these models and I was just like, what are those? And had to find someone to like tell me where to find the actual patterns because they were like behind the counter in a filing cabinet. These are local patterns by local designers, I believe. And so I'm just gonna hold it way back here so you can't see the pattern. This is Maryland by Maryland. And so it's the Maryland flag with some of the Maryland State Flower, which are Black-Eyed Susans. And I think it's great. I've been looking for a Maryland flag pattern for a long time, and they all just have been lackluster to me. So this one is super exciting. The pattern is not like the best pattern to ever exist, but it's workable. It's doable. That's designed, by the way, by Charlotte H. Poor with Poor House Designs. P-O-O-R-E-H-O-U-S-E. And this was designed in 1982. By the same designer, designed in 1984, we have, this doesn't even appear to have a name. Maryland Sampler, it's called. And this is what it looks like. I'm gonna hold it way back here. But it's got locations throughout Maryland. So the border all the way around here is like backstitched words of all the counties in Maryland. And then it's got Annapolis here with anchors for our Navy base. Then we've got some Maryland crabs, which I might change the color to be blue because Maryland crabs are blue crabs. So we've got Annapolis, Baltimore, then we've got Baltimore Orioles. Then we have Black-Eyed Susans, and then we have Antietam, which is a battleground from the Civil War. If I'm wrong, I'll put it here. But I visited that as a kid. That was a popular place for field trips. So that's got like a cannon. Then we have the U.S. Constellation, which is a boat that you can tour, I believe, in the Baltimore Harbor. And then we have Fort McHenry, which is another place that I believe you're allowed to tour. I think I've been there. Anyway, this is just a really cool pattern and is unlike anything I've ever seen before. So that was a really exciting find. That was everything I got at the stitching post. That's all my stitchy haul, at least that I'm gonna show you today. I'll save the rest of it for another day. I have just a small number of pins this time to show you. So let me get those together and then we can get out of here. So I supported a Kickstarter from Lazy Creative, who is a pin designer that I have purchased from in the past. And she was doing a Kickstarter for like Disney sidekick animals in their like baby versions. And so they're super cute. We have from Frozen, we have Baby Sven, and then we have the brothers from Brave in their bear forms. So cute. Another Kickstarter I supported, which honestly I'm really disappointed I didn't get all of the ones from this Kickstarter. I limited myself to only get one of them, and then they came out and I wished that I'd gotten the other ones. But this is from Catherine Ann, and this is from her Tangled Kickstarter, and inside the book it says, "And so I'll read a book or maybe 2 or 3. And then I also got some washi tape that says, "I've got a dream. I got a dream." With the Corona suns on it. Super cute. Next, I got my Mad Unicorn monthly Patreon pin. This time it was serious. Next, I got from We the Sciency. I got this beautiful Star Trek pin. I'm sorry, let me take it out of the plastic. Thought I could show it to you in the plastic, but kind of ruins it. Okay, We the Sciency. So it's a little hard to read all the things that are around the spinner, by the way. The Star Trek logo spins around. And it says on it, resistance is futile, make it so, live long and prosper, engage, set phasers to stun, boldly go, 1 to beam up, highly illogical. They're all just like phrases from Star Trek. I love this pin so much, it's so cool. I've never bought from this designer before. Next, I got a box of things from, this is from Magic with Pins, and she did this series of Madame Malkins. And so we have this dress bust with the beginning of Hermione's dress. And it says on it, robes for every occasion, which is Madame Malkin's slogan. Next we have something that has been stuck to some paper. What is in here? Oh, it's a sticker. It's Madame Malkin's logo. We got another one that says, "There is always magic within." What else did I get? I don't even think I looked through everything in here. We got some Madame Malkin's logo-ry. And these scissors are very glittery. And there's this teeny tiny pumpkin juice bottle. Then we got Madame Malkin's shop sign. We got some beautiful, just like gold stars on the purple washi tape. And a notepad with like dress sizes. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that, but it's pretty cool. I guess you could just like, it's in really light gray, all the things on it, so you could probably just write right over top of those if I didn't want to use it for its intended purpose. And the gold dress bust is so pretty. So that was my pin haul, much lighter than it was last time. But I did a bunch of buying the other day, so there's gonna be much more to come soon. That's all I got to show you today. Thanks for hanging out with me for what feels like a super long video. We'll find out in editing how long it actually is. But I had a blast, so I hope you are having a good week, finding some time for stitching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!